Good morning, everyone. We thank you for joining us today. This is a demographics reporting update. So we're just gonna, it's Raul Salazar. I'm Raul Salazar, CDBG Cares Manager. We have Allison, we have Kendall. We also have Lauren Sargent, who is in charge of the reporting for us with IDIS and all things housing contract system, and then all the other reports that we have to provide numbers to. And so the reason for this webinar is because we have found a kind of an anomaly in the reporting with regards to demographics, and basically we failed, and I failed to really make the reporting the race and ethnicity connect. And so this is in response to that. But let's just get down to brass tacks. But I do want to mention we've done everything in our power to make it the least burdensome, administratively burdensome as possible to you. But what we're, so what we're just, this is what we've come up with. We've asked, we've done everything in our power to make this as easy as possible, since it's a change this far along. And we realize that. But let's just go to the next slide, and we'll just continue the conversation with this new reporting update. Okay, the webinar is being recorded. The slides will be posted online to our TERAP page. Please use the question, excuse me. Please use the questions field, not the chat, to pose your questions. Questions will be answered during the presentation in the questions field. Next slide. And like I said, we apologize for this update. We know it's going to be a little bit of an administrative burden to some. To some, you might just be able to run a quick report and be able to give us what we need. But so we're going to just reintroduce what our IDIS reporting. We're going to go into the demographics reporting with the updates to the performance report and the final report. We're going to also, just really go over the monthly reporting that we do, with the performance reporting in the housing contract system and that monthly reporting by household template. To this day, we're still seeing, discrepancies, errors, where people are needing clarification. And so we're just going to provide deeper clarification on those two reports that we require monthly. And then we will touch on any TERAP updates and reminders, especially the contract amendment to the obligation deadline. And like I said, we apologize for this. We've worked so hard to make this program the most responsive to our subrecipients, and always with our subrecipients in mind, and of course the tenants that they serve. But here we go with this basically final take on reporting. And we're gonna have Allison and Kendall report these new changes, and I'll be in the background answering questions and then chiming in where I see fit. And again, we thank you for all the work you're doing, helping all these tenants in your community. And here we go. I'm sure you're dying to hear the updates. Thank you, Allison and Kendall and Laura.
All right, thanks, Raul. This is Allison. I'm going to apologize in advance. I have a cold, so if I'm coughing, I apologize, or drinking water. But we're going to jump right in. So we're just going to start really briefly. As Raul mentioned, the reason for this change is the IDIS reporting that we have to do at the end of our project. And so IDIS is HUD's reporting system that we're required to use for CDBG funds. I'm sure most of you are very familiar with that. And in IDIS, the race and ethnicity demographic categories are linked. And so we wanted to just show you what we're seeing and what we have to report, so you really have an understanding of where this is coming from, that this isn't just, you know, a change that we're deciding to make, but it's crucial for us to be able to report at the end of our project. And so I wanted to ask Laura to share her screen. She is the person that enters information into IDIS, and so she can just show you guys what we see on our end and how we have to report this data. Let me give her control for just 1 second.
Okay, can everybody see?
Yes.
Okay, this is one of the pages of reporting the accomplishment data once the project is completed. And down here under race, I'll just go ahead and put in some data to show you what happens. When I saw this, I saw it and thought it was how it used to be. It used to be that the ethnicity was its own grouping, like income down here, and I just didn't really understand it, or it didn't really pop out at me that they were linked. But say, for example, here, I say you have 100 white people that are helped, and out of that 50% are Hispanic. I would do that and then add another. I'm sorry.
It's okay, but I do want to mention, and it's not 50%, it's 50 of the 100. And so
Yes.
it'll be counts, not percentages. Also, the way we set up our reporting initially for race and ethnicity while Laura logs in is that we used an old form, or just like the current kind of reporting method for the CAPER, and we're going based off that. And I mean, we asked 1 billion people if our reporting was correct, because we just wanted it to be correct for the subs. In the end, it's not. And so we're just going to adjust to what is needed. Every race needs to be connected to ethnicity.
Right, so here I am back. So if there were 100 white people and 50 out of them are Hispanic, we would put that, and then I have to add another race. And let's say there are 20. So you can just see that each race has to have within it the number.
Right. Thank you so much, Laura. Yeah, I think they're getting the gist here. So okay. As you well know, our current reporting is not linking race to ethnicity. It's just, you know, totals race and then totals of ethnicity. So now what we've done is we've adjusted to get the numbers that HUD is going to be needing in this IDIS reporting. And so we're going to give it to Allison to take over on the updates. Thank you so much, Laura. That was very helpful. And we just wanted to show you, you know, it's not just on a whim that we're doing this update. It's needed by HUD, IDIS, and it's a requirement for us. And so we just got to do it. And so thank you.
All right, thanks, Raul and Laura. Yeah, let's move to the next slide. So when we think about what does that actually look like? So we know that we have to report this data a little bit differently than we have been. The main thing to know is no new data is being collected. All the information that we need is still being, you know, has always been captured in the tenant application. So we're not needing to go back and get any new information from tenants that have been served. It's more a matter of how is it being reported. We recognize that that's still a shift, and it still takes work to put the information together in a different way. I'm going to show you real quick what the application looks like, just so we can you can see that the information is there and where to find that. So in the tenant application on page 3, is all of the demographic information. So for each household member, you're capturing their ethnicity, Hispanic or not Hispanic, their race. They can choose multiple categories of race, and their age, which are the same categories that we've always tracked. The gender is captured on page 4 in the household composition information. So for each household member, they identify the gender right here. So nothing is changing with gender or age or even the race categories. It's really the main difference is the tracking of the ethnicity linked specifically to race. So let me go back to the PowerPoint. Just 1 second. Okay, so what that's going to look like in the housing contract system, you'll recognize this. This looks very similar to what our demographics look like now. This category is the same, except we've added a category down here, an option for race unknown. Ethnicity is the big one that's different. So this used to say Hispanic, not Hispanic, or ethnicity unknown, and you would fill in the total numbers. Whereas now, just as Laura showed you, for each racial category, we need to know, the number of people that identify as Black or African American, how many of them also identify as Hispanic or Latino? If they identify as white, how many of them identify also as Hispanic or Latino? So this category, race, should always, the total number here should always equal the total number of unduplicated persons served that month. So we've put together a little spreadsheet where you guys can track this outside of the housing contract system. So you just have a separate way to kind of capture those totals before you have to enter it into your report. So this number, the total served for the month, will always equal the total race. If someone does not answer that question, you would include them in the race unknown field. But ethnicity is not going to be the same number because we're only capturing those folks that identify as Hispanic or Latino, or the people that don't answer the question. We're not including in this total anyone who marks that they are not Hispanic or Latino. We can figure that number out if we need it, but we're just capturing the people that identify as Hispanic or Latino. Nothing is changing at all with the gender or age categories. These are exactly the same as they've been in the system the whole time, and the information is still captured the same way.
Can you go back?
Sure.
Allison? Okay, so with regards to having everything add up to your unduplicated persons for that month, total, like Allison stated, total unduplicated persons that you're reporting need to equal to that total race. Okay. With regards to male and female, if the male and female, the total gender does not add up to that total race, we're going to, on our end, chalk those up to gender unknown, as we already have in the age, as age unknown. So just do your best job possible with the gender, with the male and female, on having those reconcile with total race. But when you have a number there in total gender and it doesn't add up to total race, we're going to do a unknown gender for that number. Thank you.
All right, thanks. This is just a little screenshots of the tenant application. Again, just showing where you can capture, where that information is being captured in the application. So where you can find it. We already looked at it, but we just wanted to include it here so you could easily find it if you were going through the slides. A few things to think about for next steps. So kind of what's happening on our end is the housing contract system, the performance report is going to be updated. That will be in place for your June reporting, which is due July 15th. So it'll look the way it looked on that slide we just saw, where there's the list of races and then the list of ethnicities that are aligned with the race. So you'll start reporting that way starting in June. through September. So after September, you shouldn't have any new unduplicated clients. So for those months, June through September, you'll just be able to fill out your monthly report as always and capture that information. We will need to capture that information for January through May, and that can be reconciled in a final report. Again, I mentioned a spreadsheet that we can share. Let me share that with you just so you can see what it looks like. So we've put together a spreadsheet that just mirrors the contract system, where you can fill in information. So starting with June going forward, you'll be able to just, use this to track your total information. So for example, if you had 15 people that identified as Black or as African American, you had 25 that identified as white, you had 6 that identified as multiracial, you would want this number 46 here to be the same as the total number served. And that number is also in another section of the performance report, and we'll look at that in just a second so you can see where those numbers should match. And then you would go over here for each of these categories that have something entered and identify of these 15 people, maybe 6 of them identify as Hispanic. Of these, maybe it's 10. And of these, maybe it's just 2. So you can see that these numbers are very different, and that's okay. And then you might have, 32, 34, whoops, sorry. Can't do math. Okay, really can't do math right now. And then you would fill in your ages, and you can see that these total down at the bottom. So ideally, this field, and this field would all be the same as this. So these would all match, and this one would just be what it is based on the ethnicity. We've also added a final report over here that just pulls data from all the other reports that you fill in. So this isn't something you would have to fill out. It would automatically populate based on the answer. So it's adding each month as you're adding to your reports, it's pulling the information together. So we can share this spreadsheet as a tracking tool just to try to simplify the process a little bit for you. Go back to the PowerPoint. And we also recognize that this is a change and you guys may have questions. You may need help thinking about what's the best way to track it, based on your circumstances and your community and where you are in the project. And so we are available to provide technical assistance as needed and as requested. We want to make this as simple as possible and help everyone be as successful as possible without creating more work that's necessary. As I mentioned, so the housing contract system demographics reporting is tied to the rest of the report in the contract system. So the thing to remember about your monthly performance report is that it's only reporting unduplicated persons. So if you have provided multiple months of rental assistance for a household or an individual, they only get reported in this report the first time you assist them. So you may have months, especially later in the project, where you're paying rent for quite a few families or individuals, but none of them are being reported in your performance report because they've all already been documented and tracked. So this second section, the top section is tracking households, unduplicated households. And then the second section is tracking the unduplicated persons in those households. So if you had 10 households, how many people were in those 10 households? These numbers, the total of these 3 categories, should match the total number of unduplicated persons in your demographic section. So these 3 numbers should add up to the total race number because you're counting all the people. So each unduplicated person is tracked on a monthly basis, and this section needs to align and match what's in the demographic section. And then we just wanted to do just a quick overview because I know monthly reporting can be a little confusing because there's two separate monthly reports. So there's the performance report, which is in the housing contract system, which is what we've been looking at. And it's tracking unduplicated households and persons assisted, as well as their demographic information. We also have the monthly report by household template, which is the Excel spreadsheet that you guys upload through the Smart Sheet portal every month. This report is not tracking what you need. They're tracking different things. So they're not used for the same purpose, and they're not meant to one to feed into the other. So the monthly report by household template is tracking the months of assistance received only by household. So it doesn't include information about the unduplicated persons in those households. It also contains duplicates because you're putting someone on that spreadsheet each month that you're providing them rental assistance. So if you're paying 6 months of rental assistance, you might have paid 3 months of arrears and current rent the first time, and then you're paying 3 future months. So they might be listed on 4 different spreadsheets, but they only need to be reported in the contract system one time. So these are just 2 very different tools that are used for very different things. And so one does the household template Excel spreadsheet does not track all the information that you need for the performance report. So it'll be important to kind of identify how you want to track that, and that's so that you're able to report on individuals, unduplicated persons. We can, again, help you figure that out if you have questions about what that might look like. And then Kendall is going to go over just a quick review of the monthly report by household template and any issues that she's kind of seen, common things that come up when she's working on that report. Let me pass it off to Kendall.
Okay, is it showing my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right, cool. Thank you, Allison, and thank you everybody for your time this morning and all your hard work. We really appreciate it. I actually don't have any updates for you in regards to the monthly spreadsheet that y'all are submitting. Like Allison said, this is really just kind of a brief overview of some things that I'm seeing. So just as a reminder, you want to make sure you're using the most updated version of the template, which is available on the website. And when you first open it, the very first thing you want to do is always enable content. Otherwise, you won't be able to enter your data into the fields. And so just real briefly, all of this information in the gray section, you're just going to enter, per household, the address, apartment if applicable, the city they live in, their zip code, the county. If it's a TDEP referral, you can just pull from the drop-down box. And in the event that it is, you're going to enter the case docket number right here. In the blue section, you're going to go ahead and enter the household income and eligibility information. Just, the household size is going to be the number of the individuals, the annual income. We have a drop down for which area median income section that they fall into. And you can also pull from the drop down for the income verification method that you use to determine their income. You're going to enter, whether or not they're eligible. If they're not, you're going to put the reason why. Same thing with the landlord. Are they eligible? If not, why? Over here in the orange section with demographics, we're just going to do the head of household here for these first 3 columns. The gender has a pull down. The race, of course, has a drop down menu, and your ethnicity. You're gonna, just put yes or no if applicable. Do they, does anyone fall into these groups? And over here in the yellow section, same thing. We've got drop downs for arrears. You can enter the number of months right here. And one thing that I just noticed, I don't think some people realize that you can put more than 1 month. So if you put, you've got 2 months of arrears, you want to make sure you put let's see. I know you can do it.
Enable content.
I did not enable content. Are you kidding? All right. See, you won't be able to enter everything, guys, if you don't enable content. Happens to the best of us. All right, there you go. So just, you want to make sure that these match. That's all. And then the amount owed for arrears, you're going to enter there. And it's the same exact process over here for current and future rents. And this amount at the end is going to auto-populate, so you don't have to enter anything there. So, really that's it. You guys are doing a great job. Just the common things that I'm seeing, first of all, just submitting it. I think there are some people who, like Allison said, didn't realize you've got 2 different things that you're reporting every month. So you just want to make sure that you're submitting this. And, just if you could check to make sure that you've entered all the data and just not leaving anything blank. And again, just, you can enter multiple months. So just make sure that you do that. If you're listing, if there's several months that have been paid, make sure you list all the months out. And one more thing was that with ineligible applicants, it's up to you whether or not you want to list them. We do not require the details on ineligible applicants. So, just if you're tracking them there, that's fine, but just know that, we don't require it.
And let me chime in again. So again, so this spreadsheet here is, again, really tracking more of the months of assistance for a certain household. And a lot of it is really meant to really identify and prevent duplication of benefits. So this is what this little spreadsheet is really designed to do. The performance report in the housing contract system, that is the information for IDIS and for HUD. And so they're just very different reports, and we need them both. So, and we thank you for working with us on this. They're used for 2 separate different things, and even possible reports later. And so, like I said, we just thank you. The performance report in the contract system is for tracking people, households, and then the demographics of all the persons in the household. This one is households only. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Raul. And yeah, no, that's it. I'm gonna hand it back to Allison, and just thank you to all of you for everything that you're doing. We appreciate you.
Sorry guys, I'm just switching it back over here. Just 1 second. All right. And I think the next slide is updates and reminders that Raul was going to touch on as we wrap up.
Okay, so yeah, I was answering a question, but I'll get to that question, or I'll just talk about it. Anyway, the updates and reminders. Okay, so for the most part, you've already have been contacted with regards to an obligation deadline extension, or you've already contacted us and have really voiced your much valued concern and opinion on this extension. And so the TERAP gods opened the skies up and have allowed a deadline extension from July 31st to September 30th. So that, we're so happy that we're able to give you good news in this webinar. And it will come through a contract amendment. And so we pretty much have already a list of all the folks that have requested one. Those that have not responded to our email, please respond to our email, even with the no. So we understand that you don't want this extension, and that, we can determine next steps with your contract. And so, of course, this definitely, just slides right into expenditure levels. you know, the contract should already be at 40% expended, you know, by the 6th month, which is like for the June reporting due July 15th. So at the end of this month, you should be able to hit 40%. We're hoping, we have our fingers crossed and toes crossed that you'll hit 40%. You know, but it is a tighter crunch still, you know, even with the extension, it's still a tighter crunch. And we understand that. And we've been reaching out and with our status update emails to determine, you know, what kind of progress you're making or what kind of help you're needing or whatever. And so there'll be another August status update email sent to get your status on the 70% expenditure mark, but also just to kind of see, you know, what it's looking like for the September 30th deadline for obligating these TERAP funds. There will be no more extensions after September 30th. I'm pretty sure you already knew that. So, I mean, you can ask, you sure can ask and request one. And then you'll probably know the answer once you hit send. But anyway, that's really all we have. You know, we have a question that's stating, where can we access the tracking tool? We're going to post it to our forms page and then send it out in an email to all those on our email list. But I do want to go back. Can we go back to where we talk about the reconciliation in the final report? Okay, yeah, so demographics reporting. The question is being asked, yeah, we're gonna have to do some corrections. We're gonna do, you know, we're gonna have to like, you know, go recount and all of that, and we understand that. But moving forward, we're starting with June through September, it's gonna be just the new demographics fields. It's gonna be the new demographic reporting that's going to be required from June for the June report going forward. We think that's fair. January through May, we know you're going to need some time to go back and recount or run reports or whatever. The January through May reconciliation can, and we expect it to be reconciled in the final report. And we will work with you on that. And this is not, of course, not the last webinar we'll have. We'll have one towards the end of July to just kind of talk about for those folks that pretty much are wrapping up, and then also with next steps for September and how final reports will work. But we are very aware that January through May have happened and are basically in the books, but we fully expect that January and May will be reconciled in the final report. And so we'll meet up again. We'll discuss what that final report will look like. And that's it. I mean, that we understand that corrections are going to have to happen, and we're allowing the January through May to be reconciled at the end of the contract in the final report. Okay, technical assistance is available. We can help you. We can help you build other tools. We already have some other tools that we've been kind of working with on when you go back to counting, and we can talk about that. But it's, you know, instead of showing you 20 spreadsheets today, we're just going to let you know that there's technical assistance available, and we can also provide you a tool for tracking or for counting what's already happened. Let me see. Okay, there's some other specific questions that we'll reply to in an email to that person. And but again, I want to thank you for attending. I want to thank you for all the work you've been doing, seriously. I just want to thank you for being patient with us through this process. I do want to mention that for our other programs that are under CDBG Cares, all this will be correct for those programs, you know, because TERAP has been kind of the guinea pig for our department. We've been taking some lumps here and there, but we just been taking those lumps and trying to keep moving forward with this program. And so, but we could not be doing this without all of your hard work on the ground and helping all your community and your tenants. And you guys know how important your work is. We don't need to tell you. And so we just, again, we thank you. We thank you for being patient with us. We'll stay in communication, and we hope that this clarified many things for you. I mean, there were still questions in this questions portal that there was still some clarification needed on what the household report does and what the performance report in the contract system does. And so we're here for you. We're here for further assistance. And again, we just want to thank you for attending and for, like, you know, we'll just continue this program. And thank you to Kendall, thank you to Allison, and thank you to Laura for all their work on really, seriously, y'all, we are always just talking about how to not make it so hard on our subrecipients. And we're always being mindful of that. I hope that shows. And again, we thank you. Have a great day, and we'll be around. Bye-bye.
Bye, thank you all.
Thank you, bye-bye.